What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Collider Interview Studio at Sundance 2025, brought to you by Rendezvous Capital. We are also here supporting LA Wildfire Relief Live, which is an organization that supports a bunch of people doing all they can to help those affected by the wildfires. So if you have the opportunity to donate, please go on over to lawildfirerelief.live and support everyone over there. Thank you in advance for doing so. Now, I get to talk about East of Wall, which is it's pretty exceptional. I hope you're all very, very proud. I am fascinated by so much of what you did to make this movie in an incredibly unique way that I think pays off big time. But because it's a festival debut, a lot of our audience will not know about your movie just yet. Would you mind doing the synopsis duties and telling everybody what East of Wall is about?
Yeah. So East of Wall is a docufiction film in the next program. And it is... because it's docufiction, I've lived with Tabatha Zimiga for 3 years and worked on this project for 5 years. And it's about inspired by her life and her family's life in the Badlands of South Dakota. After the death of her husband, she is wrestling with unresolved grief, and she has a group of wayward teenagers who live at a ranch with her.
I was watching your, I think they call it Meet the Artist video for Sundance, and it was kind of walking me through the process of making this movie. I had so many follow-up questions though. You mentioned in that video that you were driving around the country filming at the time. So while you were driving around the country, what were you filming? Were you deliberately seeking something to turn into a feature?
Absolutely not. I didn't think that I'd ever be like, not for a while, be ready to do a feature. So me and my DP, we were just driving around I was doing sound and he had his camera, and we were just driving around Colorado, Nebraska, just kind of trying to find faces and interesting stories. Maybe we could make them into a short film or, some cool B-roll for a music video, something like that. So I was really not expecting the next 5 years of my life to, stumble upon this, but I couldn't be happier.
So the way you put in that video is you met a woman who pointed you in Tabatha's direction. You got there and you wound up spending the 3 years living with them. Do you remember the specific moment when you knew with certainty, like this is what my film needs to be about?
Yeah. So I met this woman and she told me, if you want a real story, head east of Wall and there'll be a woman named Tabatha waiting for you. And that's exactly what I did. And I pulled up to their ranch and I had never seen anybody with such power and force as these women. And they were so young too. Porshia was a tween at that point. I'm trying to think about my aha moment, but there really wasn't one. I was just falling so madly in love with them all the time that I became obsessed, and I just needed to make this film about them. So
I'll ask for the reverse now, Porshia and Tabatha, from you. So someone comes your way and wants to make a movie about you. Do you remember the very first moment when you knew with certainty that Kate was someone that you could trust your story and yourselves with?
Yeah. Well, she came over to our house 5 years ago. I was 12, and she was super sweet. She gained our trust, and she just became part of our lives, and she still is. And we love you, Kate.
I love you too, baby.
How about for you, Tabatha?
Yeah, it's kind of hard to explain, but from the moment I met Kate, we just felt connected. I feel safe with Kate, and that's kind of a rare thing. So, yeah.
It's the perfect vibe to have on literally any set, no matter how you make your movie. So I appreciate hearing about that. So you two essentially have to learn to act. I think you brought this up in the video as well, that you spent a little bit of time kind of teaching them some pointers and tips. Do you remember maybe the specific things she taught you that made you feel like I can do this, I can act in this film?
She made us show emotion through our eyes more than anything, so you could feel it through the eyes.
Good tip to give. I don't know how you actually do that. You can tell me to do it. And
they're already so naturally talented that it's just it was a gift to work with them. So, but.
You could feel it while you're watching the movie. I feel like acting, no matter how much experience you've had, is a craft to me that never seems to get any easier. And here you two are with no professional experience leading a film, and it just seems to come quite naturally to you. Did this experience leave you with the itch to do more and maybe explore that art form in the future?
To me, yeah, I want to do more acting, a lot more acting, honestly. I think it's really fun.
Do you have a favorite kind of movie?
Scary movies, for sure.
Conversation with everyone else must stop. What is your favorite scary movie?
I like almost all of them. I like the Saw franchise is my favorite.
Horror is my favorite genre.
Yes.
Slasher movies are my favorite subgenre. So you're speaking my language right now.
Scream.
That
I love Scream.
Scream is my second
She's
favorite
also a
movie of all time.
huge Mia Goth fan.
Yes, I love Mia Goth.
I'm like overjoyed right now hearing this. Tabatha, I'll throw that question your way as well. What's your favorite type of movie?
I love horror movies too. I've always loved horror movies. Yeah, sorry. I love horror movies.
I like you all even more right now.
Anything like a powerful horse movie, also the underdog rising to the top, that kind of movies I really like too.
I was thinking of a movie focusing on horses that I covered here. Have you ever seen the movie The Mustang? Mm-hmm. It's a phenomenal film. Mm-hmm. Beautiful film.
Yes.
Love that. Jennifer, I'm going to come your way now. Our acting veteran here. So with all the other things you do, you are often acting opposite like iconic veterans who have been doing this forever. But when an opportunity to work with a first-time feature director comes your way and also a group of non-professional actors, like, what is it that makes you say to yourself, like, I guess, frankly, like, this is worth my time and I feel like I'm in good hands here?
Well, I've worked with a lot of first-time directors, and it's one of the sweet spots for me. It's wonderful to work with somebody where nobody else cares what they're doing, so nobody else is sort of watching over their shoulder, and there's a freedom and there's an autonomy, and so it was very, I was already interested when I knew that Kate was a first-time director. And then the passion of somebody who has immersed themselves for that many years and established these relationships. And it's just, the script is amazing. The world is amazing. It's not something that we get a glimpse into very often.
So again, you've had loads of experience yourself, but I do love always highlighting how even the most experienced actors stand something to gain from folks coming into it with a newer, fresher perspective. So is there anything about being surrounded by a bunch of non-professional actors that helped even you with all your experience find something new in your own craft?
Yes, I think, I wish I could go back and do it again, because I think I've learned so much watching. I've learned so much watching them yesterday in the film, and I wish can we do it again?
Absolutely. East of Wall 2.
I would watch more.
Roy's Revenge.
Can you maybe walk us through a bit of a day in the life of a filmmaker directing a docudrama specifically? Is it a traditional script that you've worked with, or is it more of an outline kind of vibe?
It was a traditional script. I think also being a first-time director, I have to kind of appease EPs and just so they feel secure. So there were certain things that I knew secretly in the back of my head that I might want to improvise, but I would just do it on the day. Or certain things that I knew I was going to put in the edit later on. So I feel like every day was, when you're working with first-time actors, wild animals, teenagers, you just kind of have to, you could go in as prepared as you can and then just be prepared to just let it go. And like, hopefully the forces will put you in the right direction. And that was kind of, there were certain times where we were like, okay, we're going to have to wing this one, but it's good. And the ones that we ended up winging because we weren't precious about it ended up being my favorite moments in the film. And yeah, it was, I also love actors and I love these brilliant minds. And anytime they wanted to come to me like, hey, I wouldn't say something like that. I'm like, great, what would you say? Like, how, let's change it. And so that's really exciting for me because I used to be an actor and I basically am directing people how I wish I was directed. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. To get a little more specific with that, I want to follow up on a couple of things. Can you maybe name something specific that you strive to bring to your actors that you wish other directors had done for you in the past, but then also give me the opposite, maybe something that another director did for you that made you say, like, I appreciate that. I will put it in my back pocket and use it as a director myself.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think what I always wanted was as an actor, was for a director to know that I have a brain too. You know what I mean? Especially because I was young when I was acting. You know, I was in my early 20s. I was a teenager. And I think, the idea, like, for example, like Porshia, the things that the kids would come up with are things that I would never come up with, and they're brilliant. So that one for me. And then, yeah, there's been a few directors. I went to drama school in England, so I was mostly doing Shakespeare. And it is a different beast. Like, you have more time with the directors. So, on stage, I did feel like I had good connections with directors. But I think some things change when you're doing something cinematic, because there's so much going on. You don't have time for that prep. So it's kind of like, okay, we're going to throw you here, spit these lines out and let's go to the next take, So.
Porshia, can you tell me something, because of what she just said, that like you came up with on the spot and now it's in the finished film?
Porshia is an incredible barrel racer and writer, and it was a lot of stuff when you were writing that I didn't know about, or moments of you improvising too with the other kids.
Didn't she mostly improvise most of her lines anyways? She's like, I'm going to say it how I want to say it.
Yep,
and
I loved it. But that's, that's so important. Like, we can't have a false note. We can't have something that's feels like me, to be honest, because it's their life and I don't come from their life. So it's like, I learn from them, and they're directors as well in my mind. So.
Oh, what a fascinating way to put it. Because I feel like oftentimes I'm asking directors, especially phrasing it this way, when they're working with a script that they didn't write, like where they could find space for their own voice in that material. Are you able to like strike a balance between making sure their experience and them as real people is well represented, but also, I guess, making sure East of Wall feels like your film?
Yeah, it is a fine line, but it's also one of those things that I remember Tabby at one point, she said, "Why are you making a film about me? I don't understand what's interesting about my life." And that's when I knew that I needed to show them, So it's really like the biggest love letter I could give anyone was this film. So it's basically me elevating the things that I love naturally about them, if that makes sense.
Oh, no, absolutely. Okay. To highlight a couple of specific moments in the movie, and I'm curious to hear the answer to this question from each of your perspectives. Can you isolate the single most challenging scene for you in this movie and explain to me how you overcame that challenge and crushed it?
Well, I guess the most challenging scene for me in the film isn't in the film anymore, but my character, Kate's brother, wrote a song that my character Tracy sang at an open mic at a bar, and I am not a singer. And when Kate called me and said, "Can you do you sing?" and I said, "Well, does it have to be good?" And she said, "No." And I said, "Well, then, yeah, I do." And it was very liberating to sing that. It was really.
I don't think I've smiled so much while filming something. It was pure joy and like freedom when you sang.
The refrain was "God damn, we're free." So it was or "God damn, I'm free." But can I just say that one of them, like the kind of thing that Kate would do, because the script was there. It was definitely a script. But then we were one time that we'd been for 3 days at a rodeo, and there was this huge, half the ring was mud, was a mud puddle, just huge mud puddle by the end of the 3 days. And everybody left, the rodeo left town, and they'd gone, and it was night, it was dark.
50 degrees out. And Kate said, "I have this idea. If you all went in and just played in the mud, and we'll just film." And they blasted music, and we all went in there and had a mud fight, basically.
I was lucky I was not in that.
Oh, I love that.
It was one of my favorites.
And that's one of my favorite bits in the film.
Yeah, it's just pure joy, and it's
Yeah.
all of you guys like actually just being yourself, you know?
For me, I think the most difficult scenes, well, there's one in California that I had to fake being on a horse and cry. That one was really difficult. My mom played some weird music for
Everybody's
that.
like, get into the moment. So I played Titanic theme song for a minute.
I did not. And then the one on the couch when I'm crying, that one was difficult to do. Some of those were real tears.
It's not easy. I mean, there's a multitude of things about acting that fascinates me and that my brain can't compute, which is why I sit here. And someone being able to conjure authentic tears is just above and beyond anything my brain can process. So most impressive. Anything for you?
Yeah, the fire scene, that was all genuine, and I was this close to getting up and walking away before I even did it. I almost just left, but I love Kate so much and I trust her, and all the support I had from everybody that was around me. I mean, even the cameramen were crying with me. They were pretty amazing people.
Exceptional, where I mean it. Again, everyone in the film is phenomenal. Like, you are the anchor of this movie, and acting, just at least from my limited perspective, seems to come so naturally to you. I was so incredibly impressed.
I think my hardest scene to direct was that exact scene. Because Tabby has only told that story out loud once in her whole life, and that was to me the first day I met her. And so I was going to ask her to do it again for a second time, but with a crew, and just basically, it was like Tabby's my closest friend, and it's basically like being like, hey, can you just stab yourself in front of all these people? And so just knowing that she was brave enough to do this, and I know that she was doing it for me and trusting me, was the greatest gift, but it was very, very intense. Yeah.
I have to wrap with you all soon. I did want to make sure to squeeze in 2 questions to finish up here. Kate, one is for you, because again, we've been talking about how, this movie's basically been your life for 5 years, and that's a lot of yourself to pour into making a movie. So what would you say would surprise, like, the version of you first starting this 5 years ago the most about what the finished product turned out to be?
Getting into Sundance, for my first feature to like be directing Jennifer Ehle and Scoot McNairy. The fact that this movie was a no-name producer with, originally just a no-name cast was even made. So everything. Everything. This is wild. This movie was made.
We're sitting here.
You should be so proud. I mean, that's part of the reason why Sundance is one of my absolute favorite festivals. I find so many people that I didn't know before that I'm like, I love what you did. I love your voice, and I'm going to follow you to whatever you do next. Tabatha, my last question was for you, and it's to follow up something on we were given in our press notes. I'm just curious, what does it mean to you to bring what I believe you call the New West to the audiences at Sundance, and ultimately beyond it too, to give people access to that world?
It means a lot. Like, honestly, it's hard to wrap my head around it. It feels like a dream right now because this isn't normal to us, I think it's pretty badass. That's what I think it is.
Perfect way to describe it. Seriously, the movie is something else. I mean it sincerely. Huge congratulations on East of Wall.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.